Hey everybody, welcome to Culinary Characters Unlocked. I'm David Page. On this episode, we're heading north of the border to talk about food from south of the border with a Canadian chef who's cooking up Caribbean, Latin American, and Creole flavors and whose restaurant has been cited by the Michelin Guide. From Toronto, here's Alycia Wahn Martindale. Chef, thanks for doing this. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm good. How are you?
I'm delightful. How's everything north of the border?
Pretty good. It's gotten warm finally, and yeah.
So, Caribbean, Creole, and Cajun cuisine served up in Canada.
Yeah.
How'd you decide on that?
I grew up in Toronto, and we have a huge Caribbean population here. So I grew up with a bunch of Caribbean friends and their parents, and my husband is actually Guyanese. And our business partner is from Latin America, and I was in the States for a bit in the South. So when we were thinking of concepts, they all just fit really well together.
Is it a fusion? I guess there are some common roots to those cuisines.
Definitely common roots. It is somewhat of a fusion, but some of our dishes are specifically Caribbean. Some of them are specifically South American. Some of them are specifically like Creole.
Well, you spent some time in Louisiana?
I did. In my 20s, I was a musician. And so I was living in Nashville and then New Orleans and Memphis, basically doing a giant food tour for about 10 years.
So,
yeah.
So you're convinced that iced tea must have sugar?
Yes.
I want to get back to the restaurant shortly, but take me through your story. Were you always into food?
Yes. My mother married into an Italian family when I was a kid, and they were amazing cooks, all of them. And I think that's where I started learning technique, but I've always been interested in it. And my mother as well, she kind of learned how to cook later on. She's from the prairies, so it was all meat and potatoes until she got interested in food. And then we'd do stuff together. We learned things together. She'd let me play hooky from school, and we'd pick up some food magazines and try out recipes and check out different grocery stores. And I think that's where it started.
Okay, so what were you eating at home?
When I was little, I was eating meat and potatoes until I was about 8. And then it became like a lot of Italian food and a lot of pastas and risotto and seafood. And yeah.
And this was all in Toronto?
This was all in Toronto, yeah.
And when did it occur to you that you might want to do this for a living?
I got my first kitchen job when I was 16. I was working it was like kind of a hospice. I was the lead cook there, and I had lots of responsibility. I did all the catering for all the doctors' meetings. I did like when they had conferences and stuff. And then we had a little cafe on the main floor for everyone that worked in the building to get their lunch. I got to have full artistic control over the food with that and cook it all. And then I had patients where each of them had different dietary requirements. So I got to learn a lot.
Well, how did you get that gig at 16?
My first boyfriend's mother, her best friend worked there and then quit, and they needed someone, and they loved my food and they knew that I was a good cook. And so they just recommended me and I got the job.
From what you'd been cooking at home?
From what I'd been cooking for everyone, yeah. Because I've always kind of done dinner parties, and I kind of took over the food at that house too. They're from Venezuela. That's how I got time in Venezuela with them. I've always been good at cooking. It's always been a thing.
So you have this job at 16. Mm-hmm. What followed? At some point, you kind of left food for music?
It coincided. So I would do tours in the States and ate a lot. And then I worked, when I was 20, I got a job at this female-run brunch place, which was amazing and wildly busy. I still have lifelong friends from working there. And so I would go back and forth. So I was running the kitchen there in Toronto, but then going on tour in the South and just picking everyone's brain for recipes and doing random stages and things. So it was both. It was back and forth. Yeah.
When did you finally say, this music thing's good, but I'm going to cook?
Well, being a musician is hard, and I played in punk bands, so that's extra hard. You couldn't really make a living off of that. And I felt more, I have terrible stage fright, so I felt a lot more comfortable behind a stove in the kitchen. And I felt like I was able to be more artistically myself, because with music, I had to I was joining already pre-existing bands.
Were you a singer?
No, I play guitar and bass and piano.
So Around 20, you decided it was time to cook for real?
I mean, I was working when I was 20 at that brunch place that I was talking about. And then I was going back and forth in the States until I was about 28.
Did you go through a series of restaurants? Did you go through a series of jobs? What was your progression?
I'd say Luna was my biggest progression because we became extremely busy.
This was the brunch place?
Brunch place. Yeah, that kind of took up my time, and I didn't want to quit that job because that job was just incredible. And it gave me the time to go to the States and like just go crazy with the food down there.
Okay, so you're professionally cooking at what becomes a very successful restaurant with no formal training?
No, I did end up going to culinary school. I took like a year-long program in my mid-20s. My dad was like, you got to go to school. You got to go to school. But I'd already been running a kitchen. I was actually ended up hiring like other students at the school, and then I'd be their boss. But then we'd be in class together, and it was like kind of funny.
I ask people who've gone to culinary school, and some say it was really helpful. Some say it taught them how to run the business of food. You've been cooking for a long time. What did you come away with that took you to the next level, if anything?
I guess I learned some more techniques, but I'd been cooking for so long at that point, like almost a decade when I went, that I didn't come away with much. I feel like learning, like cooking is like the busyness of the restaurant. It's the line. You don't learn that in culinary school. You have time in culinary school, but in real kitchens, it's like, no. It's like fast. One day I'll be like, okay, I think I'm good with 40 pounds of beef for the day. And then I go through the reservation book and I see that we've got all these parties with beef on it. Now I'm, like, okay, now I got to do, it's all about speed. There's a rush in it. But culinary school is very like, just, very slow and descriptive and yeah.
And we'll be right back. So you cooked at Luna, you went to culinary school. Were there other restaurants that you then cycled through?
Here and there, I did stages. I opened a catering company for a bit and I catered, but nothing that I stuck at for a very long time.
So how do you end up owning a restaurant?
I always wanted to open a restaurant. That's always been the goal. I had lots of different ideas of what I possibly wanted to do.
Well, when you say it's always been the goal, like when you were 8, when you were 20, what?
Since I was like 12, I wanted to open a restaurant. But when I met my husband, he was the co-owner of another restaurant. So he was more familiar with like that kind of, and front of house stuff. I didn't ever really work front of house. And we decided to like open a restaurant together. And we brought on his best friend, Diego, and it just, our synergy, it worked out really well. I took a year off after I had my son, and I just spent an entire year doing dinner parties for friends and foodies in Toronto and testing out different recipes on them and ideas and stuff like that. And that's where I came up with the menu for my restaurant.
Creole, Caribbean, and Latin.
Mm-hmm. But also the recipes. Some of these recipes I've been doing for a very long time, actually. But yeah.
Running a restaurant can be, well, obviously difficult. Mm-hmm. But it can also strain relationships. Were you and your husband married at the time you started the restaurant?
Yeah, we got the restaurant on our 1-year wedding anniversary.
And you brought his best friend.
Yeah.
How do you divvy up the responsibilities?
It actually works really well. I deal with all the food. Lamin deals with all of the like customer service.
Your husband.
Reservations, dealing with the people. And then Diego deals with all of the bar and more financial aspect. He's more businessy. And then I just get to stick to the food. And then we have a rule where, no decisions can be made without all 3 of us being on board, but it's actually worked out really well. Like I have to say, it's brought us closer together. And I work predominantly during the day and my husband works at night. So there's not a big, we're not like in each other's faces all day. Yeah, I'm a very prep heavy restaurant because I have a 6-year-old son. So I have to be home at night.
Well, how do you make that work? How do you do that?
I do a lot of stewed stuff. I do all the sauces. I instruct the line cooks what to do. I'm executor chef. And then we have a head chef, David, and he's killing it. He's doing a great job. We're so high volume. It can't be a 15-minute pickup for a dish. It's got to be like a 4-minute pickup for a dish.
Do I come here for dinner with a girlfriend or do I run in at lunch? What do I do?
It's just dinner. Right now, we're launching some other ideas with doing more time at the restaurant, but it's a full sit-down thing. We get quite a few reservations every night. So we have to accommodate that. A lot of big parties. We're very much a birthday place. People come to us for birthday parties and all that kind of stuff. It's also a very date night place. Like we have very low mood lighting.
Well, I've read it's described as flickering candlelight against wood-paneled wall,
Yes.
creating an ambiance that is both intimate and transportive.
Oh, that's nice.
And they also wrote that the warmth radiates not just from the kitchen, but from the people who run it.
Yeah. Lamin is amazing at chatting up everyone and schmoozing. It's great. Yeah.
You seem to have a very quick acceptance, a very quick build from the time you opened until the time you were a success. How'd you make that happen?
I worked my buns off.
Okay.
No one could have expected how busy we'd become so quickly. So it was like it was a build. So I had to build my kitchen crew, which was pretty small at the beginning, real fast. So I had to hire people really early on.
Well, how do you make that decision? How do you choose who's going to cook?
Well, I was doing all of the prep for the first 6 months, I'd say. And then I brought on a good girlfriend of mine, and now we do that together. But we still need help from the line sometimes and pull people for the day shift to help us. But I don't know. The busier we got, the more we cooked.
How'd you come up with the name? Conejo Negro?
Conejo Negro.
That means black rabbit.
Black rabbit, yeah, in Spanish. The name was one of the hardest things to do, actually, to pick. We had a lot of different options or ideas for it. It's the Chinese zodiac for the year that we opened, and it means like prosperity, and we just kind of thought it was kind of a good luck thing.
You say you grew up eating a lot of Italian food. You opened the place in Little Italy?
They always say that. It's not really Little Italy. It's just one street away from Little Italy.
So you're Little Italy adjacent.
Adjacent, yeah. And I'd say like in our direct area, there's like a sushi place next to us. There's an Indian place across the street. It's like all mixed.
Is it a vibrant dining scene these days in Toronto?
Huge, yeah. Really vibrant. I think, yeah.
You've been cited by the Michelin Guide in 2 categories within, I guess, a year or a little more of your opening.
That was really surreal. Yeah.
You got a Bib Gourmand, which is...
Bib Gourmands are basically for restaurants that aren't as expensive and high-end. We try to keep our prices really low because, you know, it's hit or miss in Toronto with pricing.
Is it?
Oh, yeah. Some restaurants are really expensive. I've definitely noticed like how much more expensive it is to go out for dinner these days. So we want to keep it like old school Toronto, like the Toronto that we knew growing up.
So you got noticed, you got a Bib Gourmand, and you also got... The restaurant got another...
Service award, yeah.
Which means what?
That for exceptional service. So Lamin won that. That award is...
Your husband?
Yeah, that one's pretty specific to him. He got to go up on stage and they're like, Wahn Martindale, Service Award, Michelin. We were all freaking out. It was really cool.
Well, congratulations to all
Thank
of you.
you.
Let's talk about the food.
Mm-hmm.
When you were first putting the menu together, how did you want to cook? What did you want to offer? Was there a philosophy?
Yeah, I wanted it to be, again, prep heavy so that I could still offer food that has had time to become good. Like I make my own butter.
You make your own butter?
I culture the butter, culture the cream with buttermilk. And then once it gets nice and thick, then I whip it into butter.
Okay, dumb question.
Yeah.
Why?
Because it tastes so much better.
It does? Really?
Yes. And the texture is nicer. And I think that there's something special about making everything yourself. Normally, like a restaurant as busy as us, they wouldn't be able to do that, which is why I like to do all the day stuff. So I cook our beef overnight every night. We make our own stocks. We make everything from scratch.
Well, you throw that out like it's easy. We make our own stocks. That's hours and hours.
Overnight, a lot of overnight cooking and stuff, yeah.
You have someone there overnight?
No, we have like a special oven that you just set and let it go. We actually just got a smoker, so that's changing our life. So now we're making our own bacon. We're, smoking our own briskets. We're smoking all of our jerk chicken. And everything takes days, right? So I make all the jerk marinade. Then we marinate the chicken and then we let it marinate. We don't want it to just like marinate it and cook it, right? So it needs time. Everything needs time in order for it to be particularly good. So yeah, I guess that was the philosophy. I didn't want to just, come in, saute something in a pan, there's the dish, and there's no love been put into it. I want it to feel like I was a grandma cooking for her family.
How did you get the knowledge? I mean, okay, Creole, I get it. You spent some time in New Orleans. But did you spend enough time to master Creole cooking? And how did you become familiar with Caribbean dishes? And when you say Latin dishes, I mean, it's Venezuela. It's where else?
It's Uruguay, Brazilian, I take inspiration from anything that I can.
And those are disparate cuisines.
Guyanese food is very specific because it's West Indian. So there's like a huge Indian influence there.
So how did you learn this?
When I find someone that has knowledge of something that I'm interested in, I don't leave them alone, and I need to learn everything that I can. So I cooked a lot with like my friends' parents and their grandparents, and I do a lot of research. I read a lot. Like gumbo, when I was in my late teens, fascinated me, and I probably made over 150 different variations of gumbo until I found the one that reminded me of being in New Orleans and all of that. And I'd see their techniques, and I would see different techniques, and then I would compile my favorite parts of all of that to make it my own.
Coming right back. What makes your gumbo special?
I use chorizo sausage. That's different. I really spend time on the roux. I think that gumbo can go wrong if you don't cook your roux long enough.
You cook it to the point where some people would look up and say it's burning?
Yes, exactly.
Darker than peanut brown?
Yeah, it's like dark maroony brown. It's the prettiest color. I love the color of a proper gumbo roux.
And for the 4 people who don't know, a roux is fat and flour.
It is. And I think traditionally butter and flour, right, for French food. But then over time, it became like more of a flavoring component. It doesn't have a thickening power anymore once you cook it past thing. And we use obviously oil and flour.
And you thicken with filet?
Filet, yeah. Yeah, I do. Which is hard to come by in Canada, let me tell you.
Explain for the 4 people who don't know, explain filet.
Filet is sassafras leaves that are ground. I think it was first introduced by the indigenous people in that region.
And it's a thickening.
It's a thickening agent, but it also has a flavor. Like it tastes kind of like tea.
I didn't realize. I use it, but I hadn't thought that through. I didn't
smell it. Give it a good sniff. It smells like tea. Yeah, it's cool. It does add some flavor. And I also like to garnish the top of my gumbo with it. And another thing that makes our gumbo special is we make like a lobster and clam broth for it.
Hello.
Yeah.
And how much do you have to charge for your gumbo?
I can't remember what we were charging for it. We took it off the menu for the summer. And then I replaced it with, it's coming back because people have been bothered by us taking it off. But I replaced it with, I wanted something because we got really, really busy. I wanted something that might be a bit easier for the line just for the summer while it's extra busy. And so we're doing a West Indian style lamb curry.
Okay, what's a West Indian style lamb curry?
There's just different, the way that I do it is I make my curry paste, which has a ton of Scotch bonnets in it. And I put allspice and more Caribbean spices in it as well with the traditional. And then I marinate the lamb in it. We sear it off. I cook a ton of onions and then we slow braise it. I add potatoes and carrots at the end. And then we're serving it right now with a mint chutney and a house-made crema, which is the crema is my base for, we make it ourselves. It's the base for how I make my butter. All the dishes kind of coincide and help each other. I make my gravy for my jerk chicken out of the cooking liquid from our braised beef. So I try to get it so that they all kind of coincide together.
Are you getting local ingredients?
Yeah, I mean, as much as we can, depending on price points, depending on availability. It changes a lot, like for the seasons, but as we do as local as we can, basically.
On products like what?
Meats, specifically. Dairy. It all depends, especially like we don't know what's going to happen with the tariffs going on in the States and how that's going to impact the business yet.
Let's get back to the menu. What are some of your most interesting dishes? The dishes that as the creator, you're all excited about?
I really like the squash dumplings that I make.
Now that's a vegetarian dish.
It's our vegetarian dish. Also very time consuming. We roast off squash and then we puree it and I make a dumpling from it, almost like a gnocchi, but I didn't get the influence from gnocchi. I got it from Jamaican spinners. And Jamaican spinners are a dumpling that is served in like soup. But I didn't want to do spinners because it's just flour and it's just really heavy. And I want people to still have room for other dishes.
So is this an appetizer?
No, it's a main dish. So what we do is I make the dumplings and then we cook them in butter. Put cheese on top so it gets crispy on the bottom but still melty. Put poblanos, roasted poblanos that we roast. in there, and then we top it with a bunch of different things. So we top it with our house chili sauce that I make, and then the ancho corn crema, which is the crema again that I make, corn and like Mexican dried dehydrated chilies that I rehydrate and make a puree from, like a harissa. And then that's what it's topped with a bunch of cilantro and pickled onions. And yeah, I just think it's a cool dish because it really takes from each thing. And then I flavor the dumplings with my Creole seasoning blend,
which you make yourself.
Yeah.
Does that dish represent a fusion of various cuisines?
That's a fusion, 100%.
Okay, so Mexican, obviously.
It's got Latin, Caribbean, and Creole. It's got all three of our guys.
If you're telling me you should come here to eat this, this, and this, give me some more examples.
Oh, come and eat everything. The ceviche, cornbread, cheese puffs.
Tell me about those.
Those are all appetizers. People love them. The ceviche is really simple. I made it for a barbecue when I was testing out the recipes before we opened the restaurant, and people just absolutely went crazy for it.
What's in it?
Mango, orange slices, avocado, ahi tuna, shrimp, and then I make the sauce for it is orange and lime and ginger.
Ginger?
And ginger, yeah.
And you serve it with what, corn chips?
We serve it with corn chips, yeah, house made every day. We have a tortilla guy down the street, one of the local things, and he makes his own tortillas and he gives us a stack every day. We cut them into quarters and we fry them.
That sounds wonderful. I'm a big ceviche fan. What about the firecracker shrimp?
Firecracker shrimp is a very popular dish. People love it. I don't think I'll ever be able to take it off of the menu. We get jumbo tiger shrimp and we coat them in cornstarch and Creole spice blend, fry them, and then toss them in the firecracker sauce, which is a lot of chilies, garlic, ginger.
You use a lot of chilies.
Oh yeah, a lot of chilies.
Is this going to blow the top of my head off if I eat at your place?
I don't know. Some people say it's so spicy and they can't believe how spicy it is. And some people don't find it spicy enough. So what I do is I make my own hot sauces too, so everyone can make it spicier if they want to. I don't find it spicy. I find every food needs a little bit of spice for me. So I don't find it that spicy, but some people do.
So you're doing fried chicken. Is that informed by your time in the American South?
100%, yeah.
Tell me about it.
Well, I make a smoked hot honey to go over top of it, which I think is a bit of a nod to Nashville. But it's not the same as like Nashville hot chicken because they toss it in a chili oil.
Well, let's back up. How do you make smoked hot honey?
I was smoking it in my house when I first was trying, and it was not good. So I stopped doing that. I puree garlic and chilies and a bunch of like chili powder and chili flakes as well to get that like good color. And then we cook it down and smoke it.
Now you just got a smoker, so that's...
But you can smoke without a smoker. What I was doing was I had a giant Dutch oven and I was burning off like wood chips, like apple wood chips, and then putting another Dutch oven on top of them and covering the whole thing and letting it do its thing.
That's creative. Did you invent that?
I don't know if I invented it. It just seemed logical to me, but I feel like people must do that.
Okay, back to the chicken. Buttermilk?
Marinated in buttermilk, our Creole spice blend, again, and hot sauce.
So you dredge it in...
flour, cornstarch, and seasoning.
And when it's time to cook?
We have a deep fryer. Yeah, we go through a lot of fried chicken, like 60 pounds a night kind of thing.
Wow. What does it come with?
It comes with house-made pickles.
What?
Yeah.
You're making your own pickles?
We make a lot of pickles.
I did not know there was a great Canadian demand for pickles.
It's pretty funny. We pickle jalapenos. We pickle, our red onions. So it just seemed natural and normal. And they're quick pickled. They're not like, we're not canning them and have a room full of like canned pickles or anything like that. It's quick pickle. So you heat up your vinegar with sugar and spices and whatever, strain it over the fresh vegetables, let it sit. And we go through pickles really quickly. So we haven't had any issues with that, but people like it. I wanted something like really bright and crisp and fresh to go with the fried chicken. So that's where it came with. I was doing it with a South American, Central American type of slaw. It was kind of more of a pain in the ass for prep. So we decided to stick with the pickles.
What else on the menu comes from a place cuisine that most people aren't really familiar with. You mentioned Uruguay?
Yeah, Diego's family's from there.
As is a close friend of mine.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool. It's just taken from all of it. I can't say that there's like a specific dish from Uruguay. We just get ideas from all these different countries and then make up recipes.
Are you working on future dishes?
Oh, yeah.
What's in the back of your head? What are you looking at?
I've been doing a lot of future dishes. I came up with a really cool crudo the other day with a coconut milk base.
Crudo being raw fish.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things. I have hominy patties in the making right now, which I've been testing out, which I don't think exist anywhere, but it's a very hominy is like the big white corns that you get in like pozole in Mexico.
Bigger than grits.
They're huge.
You're going to make patties?
Yeah, like cheese-filled patties, almost like a crab cake though. Almost like with the texture of a crab cake, but with tons of different chilies and spices in it and cheese throughout it. So when you pan fry it, it gets really crispy on the outside, but stays really, really soft. And it's really corny in flavor and it's lovely. So I'm testing out that. I'm testing out different things every week.
What are the challenges? I mean, restaurants are a tough business.
Mm-hmm.
You've mentioned possible price increases from the tariffs. What else is it that every day you got to beat your head against the wall to try to stay ahead of?
There's a lot of stuff. There's so many working parts to it, right? Like we want to take care of our employees. We want to be nice, kind, good bosses. We want to keep up with the standards, right? Like I'm constantly checking about how they're plating dishes and stuff like that. And they're doing an incredible job, but there's always tweaks. There's tweaks everywhere, right? And it's still a learning curve, right? We're only a year and a half in, so there's surprises every week. Right now we're doing some renovations in the back and there's been so many surprises with that. Just simple things like where do you even begin? It's literally everything, like stuff with the drinks, stuff with storage, stuff with trying to make more storage as we grow.
Well, this was like a snack bar, wasn't it, before you took it
over? It was
over?
a pasta restaurant.
Pasta? Oh, I'm misinformed.
They had like pasta cookers. They had big freezers filled with fresh pasta. Yeah, it was a pasta restaurant. But they had a sister restaurant and they were doing the majority of their prep at that place because it had a way bigger kitchen. And then they was being brought over to this one. So it was we had to, when we first got the place, there was the basement was it was unusable. So we had to completely gut an area and so that we could build a walk-in fridge, build a prep area, put sinks in and put proper flooring and walls and ceilings and all of that just to make space to cook all the food, which I'm so happy we did because we wouldn't be able to do it if we hadn't turned that room into a prep room.
I've read a number of articles focusing on you as a female chef.
When I was in culinary school, the first day that we were there, they said, ladies, you're going to have to work a bit harder because 80% of these jobs are going to go to the boys.
Flat out.
And I've definitely, it is very male dominated in kitchens for sure. Like you can just see it, like you go to a restaurant, it's all boys working in the kitchen.
How about your kitchen? Is it all boys?
Mostly, but that's not on purpose. My girlfriend Margie does all the prep with me and she's amazing. And I work very closely with her every day, but we've got a couple. We've got probably about, I want to say 5, 6 or 7 female employees, but they're rotating because sometimes we'll need more people, sometimes we won't, right? Because we try to staff accordingly. But I'd love to get more ladies in the kitchen. Bring your resumes.
Do you see an improvement? I mean, look, going back a few years, Mario Batali and all of that, obviously there has been a lot of recent discussion of working conditions in kitchens for women. Did you see that on the way up, and do you think it's getting better?
I was very fortunate. The brunch restaurant that I worked at was like mostly women, so I didn't have to deal with that kind of stuff. But I've heard many stories from other friends that have worked in kitchens. I will not put up with that behavior in my restaurant.
What about yelling? What about, yes, chef, no, chef, do this, don't do this?
I do not like that stuff. I don't even like people to call me chef. I like it to be more personal.
That's interesting. You are the second executive chef I have talked with in recent days. The other being Andre Bienvenu, who was the exec at Joe's Stone Crab forever and now has opened his own restaurant. He won't put executive chef on his coat. He just has his name, Andre. Why is that? Don't people have to know you're the boss?
They do know I'm the boss because I hired them, and they see me doing all of it. I'm the top in the kitchen, so they couldn't possibly not know that I'm the boss. I just don't need that. I don't need like, yes, chef, no chef. I'm just, let's talk like humans. You learn better when you're not in like a kind of a scared environment. I don't know how to do this. Like, can you help me with that? And it's like, yeah, instead of like being afraid of your chef that they're going to judge you and being like, chef, I hate that environment of fear.
You still have to enforce high standards. How do you do that?
Just talk to people. Be like, hey, I've noticed that, this dish isn't coming out the same way each time. Here's what I can do to help you. Let's go over it again with the plating. Let me describe it to you again, and let me send you a picture of how I want it to look. And now when you make that dish, reference that, please. I will check how you're doing tonight. I'll get them to send pictures of it for me, just so that I can give you pointers and tips. That's it.
What advice do you have for women who want to become chefs and restaurant owners?
Trust your instincts, trust your gut. Try not to be too intimidated. It's food. It's an art. And if you take it too like businessy, seriously, like you're gonna lose the art and passion from it. And it's hard for women because it is it's a hard environment for them. So yeah, you really got to be strong and tough and don't take shit from anybody. And yeah.
Well, that's good advice generally. Don't take shit from anybody. What do you see in the future? Another restaurant, growing this one, writing a cookbook?
Definitely want to write a cookbook. And I want to make a line of hot sauces. That's my, I think, immediate future things. The business is doing great. It's still growing. We're investing in it right now in order to, you have to for your first year to make things work better. And we're renovating the patio. That's a big goal for the restaurant. Yeah, I think we're just taking it one day at a time. And when we see a need for something, we try to make it happen.
Well, Chef, it's been terrific to meet you, and congratulations and continued good luck. And thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you so much for having me. It was lovely to meet you, David.
Alycia Wahn Martindale on Culinary Characters Unlocked. I'm David Page, and I'll see you next time.